Hi folks, it's Tom at psychsafety.com again, and this is actually a reply, sort of a follow-up video from the video yesterday on psychological safety doesn't look the same to everyone. There was a great comment on there that asked the question about the impact of neurodivergent behaviours and accommodating certain needs on other people in the space, and kind of particularly in groups and in teams that are short-lived, that come together and break apart for and exist only for a short period of time. Now this is a great question, and it's worth making the point that no interpersonal space is going to be perfect for everyone in that space. It's not going to tick everyone's boxes. It's not possible to create that perfect space for everyone in the space, because we're all different. We all have different needs and preferences, and of course this is a fundamental part of psychological safety. This is what makes it so difficult, so interesting, because we're never going to reach that utopian state. What is worth recognizing is that some people have greater needs than others, and some people have very definite needs, and for other people in that space, those needs may result in certain behaviours, certain accommodations that may on occasion make other people uncomfortable. But it's worth making the difference, making the distinction between needs and preferences. Neurodivergent individuals and other people who aren't necessarily or don't disclose neurodivergent have genuine non-negotiable communication needs. Things like avoiding eye contact, or maybe doodling and fidgeting and not being able to communicate verbally. That's a need. There is, however uncomfortable that might make you or I or someone else, it's a need. It's a fundamental need. And so for neurodivergent individuals and many others, these behaviours are fundamental to effective participation. They're not simply a preference. This wasn't implied in the comment. I'm just making that key point. So yes, behaviours can sometimes cause a mild discomfort or confusion, but the discomfort matters less than a potential harm of restricting the necessary adaptations or adaptions for those who need them. So what do we do? This is tricky, right? So there are various approaches to this, practical approaches. First of all, awareness, education. We need to create a shared understanding that these differences actually exist. There's surprisingly not a great deal of awareness that these differences and that these needs do exist. We need to understand why these behaviours occur, and so we can discuss what those needs are and where they come from. Then we can, and so this is before we get into the space, right? So before we get into the space, we build some awareness and education. Then when we're in the space, the meeting or the collaboration space, we can use structured facilitation techniques, things like lean coffee, which is a great practice. We're going to talk about that in another video. Really effective facilitation. So great facilitation is a much undervalued management skill. So great facilitation goes a long way to addressing many of these needs and addressing some of the discomfort. Things like mandated periods of silence. So we sometimes call this enforced silence or mandated silence. So when we ask a question, we sort of set a time limit or a certain amount of time where no one's allowed to talk for a certain amount of time, because that levels the playing field. It means that everyone has the time to collate their thoughts, work out what they're going to say and how they're going to say it, and then put together a way to communicate that to the group. And that might be then speaking up, it might be writing it on a note, it might be drawing something, whatever it is. And that levels the playing field by preventing any sort of dominance by a single communication style or boldness. Then we've got things like personal user manuals and team charters. And even for short-lived teams, fairly quickly created team charters, social contracts are really powerful tools to help set those expectations and the foundations of what it means to communicate in that space. Personal user manuals are a great practice. Not only is it, well, they're a great self-reflection practice, even if you don't share it with anyone. They're also a great practice to create and then share with others, because by creating personal user manuals and sharing with others, we can help share our communication needs, our expectations, and we can collectively anticipate, understand, and accommodate the differences of different people in the group. Of course, and coming back to facilitation, the facilitators in this space should clearly state and should, as part of our social contract, should clearly state, and we should lay out that diverse participation styles, diverse communication styles and needs are encouraged, and what those might look like. What we're doing there is we're saying explicitly, we don't expect everyone to communicate verbally in English without stuttering or stammering and maintaining eye contact. We expect different ways of communicating and collaborating and contributing to this space. And we can do that by allowing and encouraging everyone in the group to admit, and would not admit, but like share some of these preferences and needs and things like that, like, and saying, you know, when I'm in a meeting, I doodle, and it's because I'm doodling in order to concentrate. It's not because I'm bored or not paying attention. I'm actually doodling in order to concentrate better. And that just sort of, it reduces some of that discomfort. It helps people and helps us all understand where we're coming from. It normalizes this varied communication styles and reduces any stigma associated with, say, stuttering, stammering, doodling, fidgeting, eye contact and things like that. So all of these practices kind of come together, and what we're really talking about here is building a shared understanding of what it means to communicate and collaborate in this space, and that requires some work before coming together in the space. But there's also some work to do in the space itself, which is around good and effective facilitation and establishing some of those diverse communication needs and norms, and of course staying adaptable and changing over time, because we need to make sure that we adapt and evolve as people's needs evolve and change, and as we surface new needs. So excellent comment, fantastic, and and thank you for commenting, and I hope this was useful as a follow-on. Psychological safety doesn't look the same to everyone. Find out more at psychsafety.com, and I'll see you next time.